Zom 100, a show which shocked the world with its first episode. Sure, the trailers were great and the staff list was promising, but no one expected a constant stream of incredible direction and top-tier animation. Every scene had so much meaning, every shot was refreshingly creative. The first episode was flawless in every sense of the word, and yet the show itself was far from perfect. The plethora of production issues leading to countless delays left fans scratching their heads. So, how did this happen? How did a show with a spectacular first episode end up in a position where they don't even know when the final 3 episodes will air? Well, that's what we'll talk about in this video. It's not exactly an animation breakdown, it's more of a production breakdown. Make sure to subscribe. So, in order to understand this situation, you'll need to familiarize yourselves with these two names. Series director Kazuki Kawagoe and animation producer Hiroaki Kojima. A director's job involves, well, direction, and an animation producer's job involves the management of the logistical aspect of anime production, deciding on the schedules, bringing talent on board, etc. etc. The studio behind Zom 100 is Bug Films, a studio which was founded by animation producer Hiroaki Kojima. It was Kawagoe's ambition and Kojima's questionable production model that led to both the insane first episode and the countless delays that followed. Let's go back a few years. Hiroaki Kojima was an animation producer for a show titled Komi Can't Communicate, a show which, just like Zom 100, was directed by Kazuki Kawagoe. And once you understand the issues faced by Komi, the Zom 100 delays will start to make sense. Kawagoe is an ambitious director, and naturally he went above and beyond with Komi Can't Communicate, crafting one of the most creative and visually pleasing first episodes in recent memory. Reminds me of a certain other show. Komi was produced at Studio OLM, and it did face plenty of issues. The ambition and the production schedule simply couldn't coexist. Out of the 12 episodes, 8 were fully outsourced to other studios. It's that classic mass outsourcing model of anime production. A select few episodes are prioritized and the core staff is assigned to these episodes while the rest are outsourced. This approach is fine for long-running shows like Naruto, but it's not a good sign for regular seasonal releases. It means the core team was literally unable to produce a huge chunk of the show. Season 2 of Komi Can't Communicate was also produced using this model, with 7 of the episodes being outsourced. Summertime Rendering, another high-profile show produced by Hiroaki Kojima, aired around this time, and it too had to rely on mass outsourcing. It seemed like Kojima had adopted this model for his productions. He parted ways with OLM and founded Bug Films back in 2021, intending to produce creative-looking works. Oh, and he brought a lot of his friends with him, including director Kawagoe, assistant director Hanako Ueda, animators Hayato Tori, William Lee, Haruyoshi Nomura, and more. Basically, he brought the entire team Kojima with him. And that brings us to Zom 100. As I said, the first episode was insanely good. The creative presentation with the brilliant use of muted and bright colors, the amazing ways of visualizing the main character's state of mind, this episode had it all. The brilliant camera work near the start looked and felt like a Hollywood blockbuster, because it probably was one according to the story. The 3D backgrounds looked really solid and the 2D 3D interaction was nearly perfect. The character animation was top-notch with insanely well-done body language. The storyboards flawlessly conveyed the emotions it wanted to convey. It highlighted the monotonous nature of life perfectly. The way the tone and the presentation switched up was phenomenal. Normally, a zombie apocalypse would be terrifying, a nightmare for most people, but for our protagonist, it's quite the opposite. A large-scale apocalypse is what added color to his otherwise dry life. It's an absurd concept that would require the highest level of direction and creativity to work, and that's exactly what it got. The colorful blood conveyed this idea wonderfully. Also, some clever censorship dodging perhaps. The show utilized 3D backgrounds and made this chase scene feel fast. It used the first-person perspective to its advantage. The entire episode had this chaotic sense of freedom, both on-screen and behind the scenes. The animators were obviously going all out. The large scale of the scenes, the hard cuts which got across so many ideas without ever saying a word, I loved loved this episode, I really did. Haruyoshi Nomura animated this climactic fight, if you can call it that. The way the zombies move is unsettling, but it's also comedic, which helps the show because I don't think we are supposed to take the apocalypse part of the story too seriously. The background animation here is insane. The entire interior of the house is hand animated, and if that wasn't difficult enough, the camera follows a complicated path. We also get this energetic set of impact frames. Also, I really appreciate the visual storytelling. Instead of Tendo going, "I was good at rugby, therefore I can tackle this zombie," the anime shows us glimpses of his rugby-filled past, just to remind us of it. Such an amazing episode, so incredibly promising. It felt like Hiroaki Kojima had successfully cracked the code. The newly formed Bug Films would be a hub of creative minds producing creative-looking shows. The staff even poked fun at their former place of employment. The exploitative company's logo is eerily similar to that of Studio OLM. "Screw you, major corporations, we'll do our own thing," said the staff. And then Zom 100 was delayed on 5 different occasions due to production issues. The end. It's unfortunate, it really is. Zom 100 is a show plagued with production issues. Here's a chronological look at the series of delays this show went through. Episode 4 was delayed by a day because of production issues. While it was a short period of time, production issues popping up this early on was concerning. Episode 5 was delayed by a week because of production issues. Episode 6 was delayed by a week, although this time around it was because of quote-unquote unrelated programming. And then episode 6 was delayed again because of production issues. Episode 7 was delayed by a day, and episode 8 was delayed by a week because of, you guessed it, production issues. As of right now, the last 3 episodes don't even have a release date because of uncertain production conditions. Surely that's not a good thing. While the final product hasn't been affected all that much, this inconsistent release schedule might lead to fans losing interest. Of course, this isn't a Hell's Paradise situation. The show isn't falling apart, but that's simply because Zom 100 has major names attached to it. Following the first episode, animators Hayato Tori, William Lee, Haruyoshi Nomura and a few more made individual appearances in the next few episodes, with episode 5 being a highlight. This show still looks solid, however it is obvious that it cannot keep up with the directorial ambition and has to tone down its uniqueness. Of course, I didn't expect every episode to look as good as the first one, but the constant delays are annoying to say the least. The production cannot keep up. Bug Films is a small studio, there's only so much they can do. So then, what about the classic Kojima model? There shouldn't be a delay if multiple episodes are outsourced and produced at the same time as the main ones. Well, for whatever reason, they aren't following this model this time around for the most part. Sure, stuff is still being outsourced, but not as much as Komi-san if Anime News Network is to be trusted. Episode 3 was the most heavily outsourced one, with 9 different studios being credited for production cooperation. Studio Shaft was credited, but then they were not because they left the project. It's a confusing state of affairs to say the least. But whatever the exact model of production is, it's not working out that well. Bug Films is a studio founded by Hiroaki Kojima, and its board of directors include a lot of active creators, including Zom 100 director Kazuki Kawagoe, but despite all that, the show is still struggling because of its production philosophies. Old habits die hard. A lot of shows face delays, more now than ever before, but Zom 100 takes it a step further. It's truly unfortunate. It seems like we have reached a point where 99% of shows need to sacrifice some aspect of it if it wants to see the light of day. Some sacrifice consistency, some sacrifice ambition, while others sacrifice a healthy release schedule. The modern anime industry, ladies and gentlemen. The modern anime industry. That's about it. Did you like this video? Check out this other bit of content on screen if you did. Make sure to like and subscribe, and until next time.